what's the difference between keto and carnivore? A ketogenic diet versus a carnivorous diet. First of all, let me say, there's no the ketogenic diet, and there's no the carnivore diet. There are 100 different ways to do any diet. There are 100 different ways to do keto. Right? You've got, whole foods, unrefined ketogenic diet, like we like to promote and have promoted over the years, based on primarily animal proteins and fats. Or you've got, if it fits your microwave, keto. Right? You've got, peanut butter, aspartame, sprinkled birthday cake, Quest ice cream keto. Right? There's attention all Walmart shoppers keto, and then there's the people who are, shopping only at the farmer's market, getting the grass-fed stuff, going for organic produce. There are 100 different ways to do any single diet. There are 100 different ways to do a carnivore diet. You've got people who are just eating ribeyes. You've got people who are eating primarily ground beef. Then you've got people who are eating loads of raw meat. You've got people who are eating mostly raw meat and are saying, if you don't eat raw meat, you're a freaking wussy. You've got people who say that the quality of your meat isn't so important, that you should just eat meat to satiety, drink water rather, and eat salt. You've got people who are saying, if you're not getting the highest quality grass-fed beef and eating organ meats regularly, then you're a freaking fool and a buffoon and should be laughed off the internet. 100 different ways of doing it. There's 100 different brands of zealotry formed around every single diet. What's most important is you find what works for you in your situation and in your life. How can you eat and maintain this way of eating long term to where you're not farty, gassy, bloating, feeling like crap, having low energy, crashing midday, right? How can you eat to allow you to live your life, enjoy your life, perform your best, have your cognitive faculties at hand, and enjoy it and do it long term? That's the diet you should do. So I'm not here to say you should do keto, you should do carnivore, you should do a carnivorous keto diet like I do. I don't care what diet you do. Just don't tell me that I shouldn't do my diet, or tell me that, animal husbandry should be banned. Then we'll have a problem. Right? So the difference between a ketogenic and a carnivore diet can be vast, or it can be very small. Right? So the way we've been teaching a ketogenic diet over the years is based around whole, nutrient-dense foods, animal fats and proteins, with some vegetables, if you can handle them. Now, vegetables are not inherently bad. There are mechanisms that plants have to protect them from being digested by animals and by people alike. Most plants are very, very difficult to us to digest and assimilate. The plants that you see in the supermarket have been bred over hundreds of years, over thousands of years, have been genetically selected to be more palatable and enjoyable and digestible by humans. If I go and walk in the woods behind my house, almost all the plants that are out there would kill me if I ate a significant amount of them. There are leaves down in my garden where if I took the sap from these leaves on these red trees, which you can't see right here, but they're down below. If I take the sap from these leaves that are all over our property, I would die if I ate a significant amount of it. Right? Plants have toxins like lectins, like oxalates, like salicylates. They have protective compounds like saponins in a lot of grains that prevent them from being digested and enjoyed by other creatures. Now that doesn't mean all plants are bad, but many people have many people are highly reactive to plants. A lot of people that get on a ketogenic diet start to find that they might be sensitive to certain plants. Some people might be sensitive to oxalates, high oxalate foods, being stuff like, avocados have some oxalate. Cacao, chocolate, has oxalate, and that's one of my favorite plant foods, but it is pretty high in oxalate. So we have to watch how much we eat, because some people are very sensitive to these compounds, and they can give them issues. A lot of these people start gravitating towards a more carnivorous diet naturally, through eliminating the plant foods that they find that they're sensitive to. They end up finding themselves eating mostly animal foods. A lot of people like myself have been eating a ketogenic diet for like 5 years plus, And me personally, I just gravitate towards animal foods. I like animal fats. I like being able to wake up in the morning and have a steak. I love eggs. I love egg yolks. I like foods like liver, foods like heart. I mean, we put in our book, our Ketogenic Edge cookbook, the training manual for low carb, ketogenic, and paleo cuisine. My wife's book, which she so kindly gave me a writer's credit on. We put a whole section on how to prepare organ meats in there, because we like to promote using the whole animal, eating head to toe, and these are the most nutrient-dense parts of the animal. Vitamin A, you're never going to find a better source of vitamin A than liver, right? Heart, it's got more coenzyme Q10 than most any other food known to man. These are really very, very delicious foods. Bone marrow, one of my favorite foods in the world. If you haven't had bone marrow, you've got to try it. It's absolutely incredible. I can eat bone marrow every single day for the rest of my life. Be stoked. If I had bone marrow and steak. Right? I find myself gravitating towards these foods. It takes time to prepare vegetables. It takes time to steam up some broccoli, to make some cauliflower rice, stuff like that. And I don't feel better when I eat the plants. So I find myself just gravitating towards animal fats and proteins. That's what my diet's made up of primarily. I don't find it restrictive at all. I don't do it because I need to. I do it because I enjoy it. I find that I digest and assimilate foods from the animal kingdom incredibly well. Even like raw cream, yogurt. These are great foods. So my diet is a ketogenic carnivorous diet. Now I'm not doing a lot of yogurt, although occasionally I will increase my carbohydrate intake using foods like raw honey, locally produced raw honey from the hills over here, raw yogurt, raw milk. Not everybody can handle dairy, but I can, and I enjoy these foods occasionally. So my carnivorous diet is ketogenic. Every once in a while I'll go off, have some honey, have some more yogurt, stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm eating fatty cuts of meat, bone marrow. I'm eating steaks, foods like pork belly, egg yolks, liver, heart. I actually am a really big fan of brain. I know it sounds weird, disgusting to most people, but brain is one of the most delicious parts of the animal. It is absolutely incredible. So creamy. So yeah, that's the diet I eat. A carnivorous ketogenic diet. If I were to measure my ketones right now, it's very likely that I would be above 0.5 millimolars per liter of beta-hydroxybutyrate in my blood. That's how you know you're in ketosis, anything above 0.5, right? Now, like I said earlier, there are other ways of doing a carnivorous diet. I'm not going to sit here and bash people for doing it differently than me. You've got people like Michaela Peterson. She doesn't concern herself with grass-fed beef like I do. I get locally produced grass-fed meat. I'm eating bone marrow. But she's fine on grocery store meat, right? She's eating a lot of ribeyes. She does a lot of different cuts and variety of cuts. She adds tallow to her diet. She actually adds more beef fat, which we show you how to make tallow in the Ketogenic Edge cookbook. It's available in print now. There's a link in the description down below. Show you how to render and make tallow, how to make pemmican, which is one of my favorite foods as well. Essentially dried meat and rendered fat. Great travel food, good food for a pinch. Not everybody digests rendered fat very well. If I eat a lot of rendered fat, I don't digest it so well. But I love me some pemmican. It tastes amazing. I sometimes like to have it at the end of a meal, almost like dessert. It's funny. But Michaela Peterson, she does a carnivore diet based around meat, salt, and water. Right? She adds fat. Sean Baker, that dude is a beast. I think he's 220 pounds. He's like 6'5", jacked, super strong, highly skilled athlete, and he's doing like ribeyes all the time. He has some salmon, some wild-caught fish, which we do here as well. I like to eat foods like swordfish, salmon, sardines. I have some olive oil sometimes. Oh no, he's not carnivore, he had olive oil. By the way, if you're sensitive to oxalates, olives have a lot of oxalates. Olive oil does not. So, a lot of people that do a carnivorous diet find that they're fine with olive oil, not so good with olives. Like when I talked to Michaela Peterson, which you can find if you search for her name on my channel. When I interviewed her, she talked about having a super extreme reaction when she tried to add olives back in her diet, showing that she probably had a very high sensitivity to oxalate. So anyways, there are different people who do it different ways, right? We promote a carnivore diet that's based around fatty meat, protein, animal fats, organs, fish, eggs. If you can handle dairy products, those are great as well. Especially raw dairy, especially if it's from A2 cows. A lot of people are sensitive to dairy from Holstein cows, but the type A2 dairy, which has a different type of casein in it, many people don't react the same way to it, especially if it's raw. So, many different ways to do carnivore, many different ways to do keto. Most people on a carnivore diet, a lot of people on a carnivore diet, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people on a carnivore diet are coming from a ketogenic diet. They've already done keto, they've already reaped some of the benefits of a ketogenic diet, and they just naturally find themselves sliding towards eating more animal foods and less plants. You know, when I'm gonna make a meal, it's kind of an economy of time sort of thing, where why would I spend my time and energy making the plants? I kind of look at plants at this point as optional, obviously. They're delicious, don't get me wrong. And I actually do enjoy steamed vegetables with butter and salt on them. I really like that. But I just don't take the time to purchase, prepare, and eat these foods because I feel fine without them. Maybe even better without them. Not saying you should do it, but you could if you wish. So, on a carnivore diet, a lot of people end up eating a significantly larger portion of protein per day. Whereas on a ketogenic diet, most people doing keto are duped into being afraid of protein. They're told you have to limit protein, you have to chase ketones, measure your blood ketones all the time. A lot of this is just slick marketing. A lot of this is just marketing people confusion, right? A lot of people get so confused and confounded when they're constantly measuring their blood ketones. It's a waste of time and energy for most people, in my opinion. Now, a ketogenic diet, of course, very low in carbohydrate. You're going to be burning fat for fuel. That fat can come from the plate or from your body. If you have a lot of body fat to burn, you don't need to eat as much dietary fat as somebody who's going to be maintaining or gaining weight, right? So when I'm on keto, I'm going to eat more fat than somebody who wants to lose 100 pounds. That's just how it works. You can burn fat from the plate or from your body. Whereas on a carnivore diet, people usually end up eating less fat and more protein. So the ketones might be lower, although many people do a carnivore diet where they're adding more fat, right? So I'll get stuff like, I'll get sheep fat, sheep suet, you know, sometimes I'll add tallow. You can get suet from your butcher, and you can cut chunks of it and cook it up with your steak, like we like to do as well. It's starting to rain. I'm getting rained out, guys. So a carnivore diet can be ketogenic, and a ketogenic diet can be carnivorous, but they're not mutually exclusive, and they're not always going to overlap. So some people are seeing very, very low ketones on a carnivorous diet. Well, some people see higher ketones. This depends on the context and the individual. I'm not saying you should measure ketones. I think it's a waste of time for most people. On a carnivore diet, there are less rules, and it can be a lot less confusing for people who are just starting off. So that's one benefit of carnivore, right? So a lot of people are out there saying, just eat meat to satiety, right? Stumbling all over my word there. Just eat meat to satiety usually ends up as a really good rule for most people. If you're trying to lose a bunch of weight, or if you're trying to get your metabolic health back and get off of the junk food, and you fill up on meat, you're going to be getting most of the nutrition you need. You're going to be getting the protein and fat. You're going to be getting fat-soluble vitamins. Maybe not as much as if you were including organs or foods like marrow, liver, heart. Might not be as ideal, but you're still going to be full. And you're going to naturally restrict calories. You're not going to be eating the cake. You're going to be eating the steak. So that simple rule of a carnivore diet can make it a lot easier for people to get started, right? A ketogenic diet, sometimes a little bit more confusing for people to get started with, although definitely less daunting as far as like our cultural programming goes, right? A lot of people don't believe that you can live without eating plants. Most of us believe that plants are necessary for health. Most of us have been duped into thinking that plants are superior to animal foods, when in reality, the most important foods to eat are animal foods. The first foods my kids ate, the first food Ryder ate was liver, after breast milk. Our daughter Ariana, when she was weaned, also went on to very rare meats, sometimes some raw meat, and liver, and foods like heart. Right? So these are the most nutrient-dense foods, not plants. Broccoli is not a nutrient-dense food. It's mostly water. It's water and carb, and a few amino acids, not a complete protein. I think broccoli is like 90% water, and like 7% carbs, and 3% protein. But real protein comes from something that has eyes, or came from a shell. Shellfish, another great addition to a carnivorous diet. Wild-caught shrimp, oysters. Very, very high in zinc, very, very high in micronutrients, selenium. Very good, well-rounded foods with high DHA content as well. Remember, our brain needs DHA. So, a carnivorous diet and a ketogenic diet have some differences, but there's a lot of overlap. Not as many people are ready for a carnivorous diet, and by ready, I don't mean like physically. Anybody could handle a carnivorous diet. I mean, in fact, when you look at the history of mankind, we probably would be going through regular periods where we're not having any carbohydrates, right? When we're just hunting for a majority of our food. I know that if I fill my fridge up with fatty meat, my kids will not be asking us for sweet fruits. We don't feed our kids a keto or carnivore diet. They eat as much fruit as they want. We got bananas all around here. They like honey. They enjoy, they like fruit, right? They eat a lot of fruit, some tubers. But they don't ask for it if we've got ribeyes. They don't ask for it if we've got liver. Our kids beg us for stuff like liver and brain. So, human beings, in many circumstances, if you can actually just select your foods, if you had an abundance of whatever food you wanted, I bet a lot of us would eat mostly meat. That's what I would do, and that's what I do. So my kids tend to do on some days, and then they eat carbohydrates when they want them. So the most nutrient-dense foods are animal foods. On a ketogenic diet, a lot of people think that you got to fill up your plate with greens. You got to eat 7 to 20 cups of vegetables per day. Right? A lot of people think that we need to balance out our meat intake, the sinful meat intake, with eating more vegetables. This is not necessarily true. In fact, a lot of people feel much better after doing a ketogenic diet long term when they transition to a more carnivorous style diet. So many different ways to do keto, many different ways to do carnivore. They have their similarities and they have their differences. The important thing is what works for you. Find what works for you and stick with it and enjoy it. Alright, so check out the book. We got a link down in the description. The Ketogenic Edge Cookbook, the training manual for low carbohydrate, ketogenic, and paleo cuisine, all based around whole, unrefined, nutrient-dense foods. All the recipes have macros. Those macros are fat loss friendly, and there's a whole section showing you how to make organ meats. Jessica, right now, I've talked about this briefly in a few streams. We're currently working on another book, the Carnivore Cookbook, for people who really love animals. That one's going to be coming out in the next few months. I don't know, give us 3 or 4 months at least. It's going to be amazing though. That one's going to be awesome. That one's coming in the near future. And if you're interested in coaching, you can hit us up. I'm not doing as many private coaching consultations, although I do still take on some clients during the weeks because I'm doing the Keto and Carnivore Collective. We're right in the middle of our November Keto and Carnivore Collective. It's our group community coaching where we're able to give you actually more content, more one-on-one time, and community support. So I know a lot of people are shy and they don't want to do it in the community setting. So if you still want private coaching, that's cool, you can hit me up. But the Keto and Carnivore Collective, much more affordable and I find much more valuable. You get a lot of clients where I'd like to connect people, right? I get a lot of clients where I would like to see them talk to each other and share experiences. And it's great because we use a Discord server and you're actually able to do that. You're actually able to support each other in a community setting. And we do 2 live interactive voice chats per week. One of those is a lesson, the other one's just a Q&A. We do a Q&A at the end of the lesson as well. And you have full access to your coaches. There's a lot more content that we're able to give you through the community coaching setup. And we'd like it much more. So yeah, you can hit us up at the Keto and Carnivore Collective. It is starting on December 9th, the next session. So it's a few weeks from now. We're going to be sponsoring a few people. We'll be doing some giveaways using Instagram and maybe some of the YouTube live streams. So we'll announce that soon. But remember, it's not about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what everyone else says. Find the diet that works for you and your circumstances. All right? For your context. You're just trying to lose body fat? ketogenic diet might be a great way to go. If you're still afraid of eating meat, if you still think animal fats might be bad, you might want to avoid doing keto or carnivore until you actually understand a little bit more about what's going on in the body with these foods. If you find yourself gravitating towards meats, if you love fatty steaks, if you like eggs, some people do a lot of cheese on carnivore and do just fine. But if that's your thing, perhaps a carnivorous diet is for you. If you've got autoimmune conditions, if you've got sensitivities to a lot of food, if you're trying to clear up serious gut issues, a carnivorous diet can be one of the most powerful approaches out there. And that's why you see so many people out there talking about it. And that's why you see so many people triggered and upset about it. People are demanding whole unrefined foods now. People aren't buying the processed junk foods anymore. And that's a good thing. So you can find more at primaledgehealth.com. Get off the computer, get off the freaking Facebook, close your damn Facebook account, cancel your stupid Netflix, get out there in the real world and go live. Peace, guys.